Every day, mankind is at war with invisible killers. They are lurking at the grocery store, in your child's classroom, and even at your grandmother's house. But how can you fight a killer you can't see? Everyone is in charge of the health of themselves and their families. Proper education can save our lives and the lives of those we love. With my current background in healthcare, I felt it was important to share a startling trend that is arising and threatening us all. We must educate ourselves and others about vaccinations in order to prevent the devastation of large outbreaks of diseases resulting from the anti-vaccine movement. In order to understand how the anti-vaccine movement threatens us all, we will first examine current disease outbreaks. We will then explore the reasons why people are choosing to not vaccinate. Finally, we will discuss how you can protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Let's get started by taking a look into current disease outbreaks of measles and whooping cough. According to the mayoclinic.org, a health information website, measles is a contagious viral infection leading to fever, dry cough, runny nose, sore throat, inflamed eyes, mouth sores, and skin rash, with complications such as ear infections, bronchitis, laryngitis, throat, and inflammation of the brain. And whooping cough is a contagious bacterial airway infection characterized by fever, runny nose, congestion, accumulation of mucus in the throat, uncontrollable cough, shortness of breath, and even temporary inability to breathe, with further complications such as bruised or cracked ribs, abdominal hernias, broken blood vessels, pneumonia, vomiting, dehydration, seizures, and brain damage. Over the past few decades, as more people have chosen to not vaccinate, the population's overall immunity is diminishing. Dr. Matthew Daly, who is a pediatrician and researcher at Kaiser Permanente Institute for Health Research in Denver, and Dr. Jason Glanz, who is an epidemiologist at Kaiser Permanente Institute for Health Research in Denver, reported in their article, Straight Talk About Vaccination, that in 2017, Minnesota experienced an outbreak of measles. Once the outbreak began, it ran rampant among those who were not vaccinated, which mostly consisted of children. Vaccination.gov, a website dedicated to vaccine education ran by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, states that children in the United States still contract vaccine-preventable diseases and have seen a resurgence of measles and whooping cough. They report that since 2010, there have been between 10,000 and 50,000 cases of whooping cough a year. Of those cases, 10 to 20 babies, some of which may have been too young to be fully vaccinated, died each year. The Immunization Partnership website, an organization devoted to the eradication of vaccine-preventable diseases, states that roughly half of the children under 1 who contract whooping cough will be hospitalized, and 1 or 2 out of every 100 that catch whooping cough will die. These troubling events show that the anti-vaccination movement is dangerous. With knowledge of recent outbreaks, you may be wondering, why are parents choosing to not vaccinate their children and putting their children, you, your family, and your community at risk? Although there are many reasons that parents are choosing to not vaccinate, we will discuss the 3 most common as reported by Dr. Matthew Daly and Dr. Jason Glanz. Many parents who choose not to vaccinate are concerned about the safety of vaccinations. According to vaccinations.gov, vaccinations are heavily and carefully reviewed by scientists, doctors, and healthcare professionals to ensure their safety. While they may involve some discomfort, pain, redness, or tenderness of the injection site, this is minimal in comparison to the devastating side effects of the diseases they prevent. Additionally, serious complications from vaccines, such as allergic reactions, are extremely rare. Furthermore, according to Dr. Steven Novella, an assistant professor of neurology at Yale University School of Medicine, in his journal article, The Anti-Vaccine Movement, the study published by researcher Andrew Wakefield in 1998, claiming the connection between the MMR vaccine and autism has been disproved by overwhelming amounts of evidence. For example, Dr. Novella explains that autism rates have been found on the rise in areas where the MMR vaccine rates are not increasing. Furthermore, he states all available MMR autism data was reviewed by the Institute of Medicine in 2001. This study concluded that there was no association between the MMR vaccine and autism. Another reason parents are choosing to not vaccinate their children is the misconception that their children are not at risk. According to Dr. Matthew Daly and Dr. Jason Glanz, their investigation explored hundreds of thousands of children in Colorado and compared the risks of various vaccine-preventable diseases in children whose parents had refused or delayed vaccines with the risk of children whose parents did not. It was found that unvaccinated children were roughly 23 times more likely to develop whooping cough and 6.5 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumonia. Furthermore, parents are choosing to not vaccinate due to believing that vaccine-preventable diseases are not particularly serious. According to Dr. Matthew Daly and Dr. Jason Glanz, these diseases are more dangerous than most realize. They reported studies stating 1 out of every 20 previously healthy children who get the measles will come down with pneumonia. 1 out of every 1,000 will suffer inflammation of the brain that can lead to convulsions and brain damage, and 1 to 2 out of every 1,000 will die. Now that we have discussed reasons why parents are opting out of vaccinations, you can see that only you have the power to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community from the crippling and life-threatening diseases. There are a few simple ways to ensure you're protecting yourself and everyone around you. Proper education about vaccines is critical to protecting ourselves, our families, and our community. Do your research. Make sure your sources are valid. Some examples of credible sources to find information about vaccines are the CDC and the Health Department websites. The most important thing you can do to ensure your future is to be proactive in making sure that you and your family are current on all vaccines. Many people are unaware that some vaccines require boosters and may not be fully protected any longer. There are many local resources to utilize, some of which administer low-cost or even free vaccines. Your local health department is always a great resource for information about affordable vaccinations, or you can visit www.vaccinations.gov. After addressing how to ensure your loved ones and your community are protected, let's recap the discussion. In conclusion, we must educate ourselves and others about vaccinations in order to prevent the devastation of large outbreaks of diseases resulting from the anti-vaccine movement. As discussed, the population's immunity is decreasing due to the less and less vaccinations being given out. Parents have many reasons for choosing to not vaccinate, most of which can be resolved with proper education. Remember, educate, don't hate, and vaccinate.